Okay, so recording started, and let us go ahead and continue with what we were doing. Okay. Right, so here, where? Yeah, here. So, we were, we had installed the vCenter, and we're going to be going for, yeah, VCSA deployment. We did that, and so VCSA deployment, I had actually froze that. Uh, okay, so VCSA deployment, I froze that last time to a certain point, so I could show you some more of that because there's just a few million more steps, and we will be able to um, configure the whole environment. Just a lot of work. So I'm just gonna start the Win01 because that's our lifeline. Obviously, this is offering all the infrastructure services, right? So infrastructure services is being offered, and last time we had actually I had stopped here, and this is the end of the stage 2, which means that the VCSA fully installed. But after that, there are very, very careful steps that we have to take. So it could really um, work as well. So now what's going on? We just explain that with a dia and rom. Um, where is it? Okay, so here, VCS deployment prerequisites, VCS deployed. Now what? So, what would be the next major steps right away that we need to take? Stage 2 done, and it does show the URL which we need to click to do what? Which we need to click to open the vCenter for the first time successfully. Well, should be successfully if the installation went well, and it won't be successful if the installation did not go well. So what we need to do is we need to click that URL, and it's going to open inside a browser, and it's going to take us inside the vCenter. So stage 2 done, it does show the URL which we need to click. Okay, this URL will take us, will open the vCenter dashboard. Will open the vCenter dashboard. This URL will open the vCenter dashboard and credentials to be used to connect to vCenter are, what are the credentials, guys? Credential username would be
Root.
root. No, it would be administrator. Why? Because when we were installing vCenter, so it didn't ask for username, but it did ask for a password. So we did give password, but during the installation, it suggests This is a mandatory username that is always there. Just like when you install a Windows server, then there's an administrator account that has all the power. So vCenter, the great big complicated application, the central management of the whole VMware environment, its top account is administrator, right? So when we now go to the URL, when we click the URL, and it's going to take us to the credential screen. So what we're going to exactly type is the um, administrator at vsphere.local or whatever domain. Remember that we put the domain there, vsphere.local. Now, whatever spelling you use to create that, v appear vsquare.local. So, in previous batches, it has been happening that when the students were putting that domain name, they may have put the S here after P or H before P, right? So whatever spellings you put during the installation for the domain, those will work. Wrong or right, it will work, or whatever you put there, right? The domain name. Where are these PowerPoint slides located? Okay, Chris says. It's on the Blackboard, but today's PowerPoint slide you will not see. The others, Chris, others are on the Blackboard inside. You know, week 6, week 5, week 4, week 3. Guys, anyone else are able to see the slides in the Blackboard?
ECSA deployed.
Yes. Okay. This one, obviously, I'm making changes constantly on this according to where we are and what we're doing. That's why this latest one will not be there, but others are all there in the Blackboard. O and K. So username is this, and the password is small ABC, capital ABC, shape 123 without shape 123. So I'm going to. So Chris says I don't see any materials, guys. Chris, where are you clicking? Are you on Blackboard?
Blackboard, you just shared the link actually for
Hmm.
the videos, but not the slide.
It's not there. That's not good. Okay, what have I been uploading that? Okay, let me just open it. Slides are not there. Not good. Signing in from the other screen. Uh, so, 760. So the other screen, I am just logging in now, and VMware Professional. Week 5 was there, Mir says. Okay, so let's drag the screen now here, guys. So, why I would not be there? Week 1. Oh, PPTX visible to students. So week 1 is there. Week 2 PPTX should be there, right? Visible to students. Week 2, right? Week 2, then the makeup class is not there. Chris, can you confirm that? And others? Week 2 upload. Okay, upload is there. But oh yeah, week 3 slide is actually hidden to students. You know that. New system they put there. Oh, this is upload. This is week upload. What is this? Okay, you're right. 3 was not there. I hope it's there now. And I'll quickly just go for week 4 upload. Oh, I've been uploading the slides, but then there's an extra step here called visible to students and hidden from students. Yes, you're right, Chris. Sorry about that. Week 4, so week 1, 2 was there, 3 is not there, 4 was not there, now it should be there. Week 4 makeup class. Okay, so week 4 makeup class, yeah, so I've been uploading the slides and I have to do that extra step of visible to students. Seriously, you're right. And week 5 is there. Okay, visible to students. Week 6 will be there. Oh, again, hidden from students. Like, till previous batch, I was uploading those without doing this extra step. So yes, you're right. Yeah, I think till week 6 it should be appearing now. And well, week 7 I'm gonna create now. So then I will upload that. So yes, that's a good catch, Chris. And it should be so. Just make sure that you see all the slides now. Okay, so I think it should be covered, and hopefully it's okay now. And yeah, this extra step in this new Blackboard they have upgraded. So this extra step I was missing. In fact, I was making this visible to students for uh, other for upload. For the slide, I was just uploading. Okay, so I have to just remember that, make it visible for students. Okay, guys. So let us. There. Okay, thank you, Chris, for finding this out. Okay, thank you, and let's go ahead. Thank you. So now, what I was saying, but that this is the the username, and then this is the password that we're gonna. So let's just click that and go ahead. So what we are going to do is here go and yeah, I was remotely connected to this, so I'm just gonna remote. Oh, whoa, whoa. This I have only started Win01, right? So the main VIP machine E6i1 where the VCSA virtual machine is living, this whole hypervisor is still suspended. So obviously, if I go there and click the link, there is nothing there. So the link is supposed to be here. It should reach here. So I'm just gonna put on, and remember that I put 26 GB here the last time, so I could get that installation faster. Um, so once it starts, obviously, then when I click the link, the link will go there inside the hypervisor. Then inside the hypervisor, there's a VCSA virtual machine. Inside that virtual machine, there's vCenter there. If I just quickly annotate that exactly on this screen, then so this is the Chrome here, right? And this Chrome, it goes to the browser. The browser has that virtual machine inside, in which there is a vCenter software. So this machine is called VCSA, and the big software is called vCenter, right? So that vCenter will be accessible through a URL that is shown at the finishing screen, right? So as soon as we click, it goes to the hypervisor. Inside the hypervisor is the virtual machine, and inside the virtual machine is this vCenter, and it should take us to the dashboard of that. ONK. So let's quickly do that because it has started as well. So what do we need to do is just quickly go to oh, that's the slide and its icon is not showing. So I'm just gonna put that diagram here.
Professor, there was no solution for the VDP error, right?
No, for now I have tested all the solutions that were on that and kept on restarting that. So if it's available by VMware itself, then only we can do anything. Otherwise, if VMware does not give us a solution, then I don't think any other college or any other country or any administrator anywhere could resolve this.
So we will take the screenshot of your screenshot for the time being.
Yes, you can take my screenshot. And the thing is, if we understand what's going on and if you can ask questions as well, so that would also be helpful. And when you're able to get your hands on the hardware and try to do the whole lab, sometimes just by understanding, students have been answering some of the questions in the interview. And yeah, so the thing is, if our concepts are good, obviously lab is the best way to understand. But yeah, you can take a screenshot of my screen when I say take a screenshot. So here, I'll just go for this. So I'm going to go to this remote connection here and quickly connect to shift 123 without shift 123. Okay, so there you go. So see this, the point to be noted here is that you see a URL VCSA1, which is the name of the virtual machine living inside this hypervisor, and then the domain name or the DNS name that we kept there. Otherwise, you have to put some kind of suffix or ending part of the domain here. If not this, then you have to put something else, right? Something dot something here. And then, yeah, it's HTTPS, so it's just going for 443 with a self-signed certificate. I'm just going to click this and it should grab a browser. So I'm just going to go ahead and click that without closing the screen. Even if you have closed this screen, it's okay. I'm going to tell you the URL. I chose the browser Chrome, and you can see here this, but I want to show you something more about the URL. So I'm just going to go ahead with the advanced and then proceed to VCSA. It says unsafe, but we know it's safe. See this, the browser, this is also called the client, right? So if I go ahead with this, you can see here, I don't need this side screen here, so I'm just gonna click close here for this one, right? And whenever you want it back, so you can just click this, right? So this side screen will be back. Okay, I'm just gonna close that. So launch vSphere client. Now this vSphere client, it used to be dependent on Java before, right? Java add-on. So that was a pain in the neck, Java add-on. And what used to happen was that you have to install that Java browser add-on for 6.7 and 6.5 versions and 6.0 versions, right? So sometimes Java, add-on in the browser would not really get installed properly, and then you won't be able to connect to that, so to the vCenter. So then VMware came up with HTML5 based client, which does not depend on Java add-on. So they were not depending on the company, other company, just to connect to their own environment, VMware guys. So VMware guys came up with a much lighter client called HTML5, and this is much lighter, and all the features are there now. Much older videos show our fight with the Java client. If you join some company and that company still has 6.0 or 6.5, then you will be seeing that Java based client, and then you have to, it's just a pain in the neck when Java does not get installed. Otherwise, now we just got rid of it, so it's a sigh of relief. Anyway, I'm just going to click that HTML5 client. It's much lighter, and you can see this UI was added here. So what you need to know is that this is the client name. So your virtual machine name, suppose you had to install again VCSA2 dot your domain name slash small UI, not capital, right? So when you go for small UI, then it's going to login. Suppose you put here capital UI just when you're manually putting the URL, it's not going to work. It's Linux based, so Linux is always case sensitive, right? Now remember what I said in the slide at VMware vSphere, so it would be administrator vSphere.local. So that's exactly the spelling I wrote there when I was writing the domain. Whatever spellings you wrote, if you write those exact spellings here, you will be able to log in. So it doesn't have to be correct spelling. It has to be whatever you wrote there. It's just going to accept that as a domain name. So if the spellings are correct, obviously you will be able to log in. So let me see, capital MC, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, enter. And it should take us to that vCenter application dashboard. And it's pretty complicated application. Obviously, when you're handling full, the company has a branch and the company is paying like millions of dollars on the licenses, and there are so many hypervisors and there are so many virtual machines. So there has to be one central application that should be there has to be one central application that should be taking care of the whole VMware environment. That whole VMware environment handling application should be also like complicated. But obviously my job is to show that it's so not that complicated. Obviously, when we go through each and every feature, we do a lot of long labs, understand all the sections of it. So then you will say that, okay, now I'm kind of getting a grip on it. So here, yeah, you were saying?
Sorry, Sayed, one question.
Yeah, sure.
Last time when I installed vSphere, I closed that last
Oh,
the last thing. And then how can I go back there?
you can open a browser
Huh?
and start typing https://. Now, I hope you've also put the name VCSA1
Yes, I
when you
did.
were installing, and dot. So your name hump.local / small UI. If you just put that correctly, you will go to this screen. Like the credential screen first, you put the credentials correctly, then you will log into this
Then
vCenter.
Humber local, and then I have to put UI.
It has to be / and small lowercase UI. Lowercase UI.
I don't have to. So I don't have to. Okay, yeah, I am there. Okay, that's fine. Loading. And what did you log in with? Administrator at? What was the login?
Yeah, so the login credentials, I'll just paste it there in the WhatsApp as well. Otherwise, this is the admin credentials.
When I go here, it's taking me directly to that vSphere page. I don't see that where you installed something, right?
Yeah.
So I don't see that page.
So you have to click that HTML5 blue rectangular thing.
That's
Did you
what
see?
HTML file. I'm not seeing that HTML file. It's directly taking me to that vMsphere login.
Okay, if it's
vSphere
on the login screen, that's good. And just put this one, administrator at vSphere.local and the password.
Okay.
So now here, very, 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 very few students were stuck here that what password username they gave and what here username is obviously decided by VMware administrator, but what domain spellings they put there and then what password they gave. So majority of the students are okay the first time. Now, okay, so this is once we log in, there are then obviously a whole new planet appears, and you get to see the inside of a professional VMware environment, the actual application that handles the whole VMware environment, right? So I was teaching that Azure course on Saturdays. So they are also in Azure. They have some VMware connectors there. So if there is on-premises VMware environment, you can connect that environment to your Azure cloud as well. Anyway, so this is after logging in successfully. That's so crucial. Uh, yeah. Okay. After logging in successfully, then we need to go for the next steps. What are the next steps? Then we will do the following. Remember that we gave a lot of RAM to this to this hypervisor where we install the VCSA. So I should go back to the sliding diagram. Actually, there was this diagram better. Um, EM where? I'm just grabbing the diagram where we are now. Okay. Right. So that's exactly where we are. We have the software SAN, right? Virtual SAN. And then we have the ones that are showing, and then we deployed new virtual machine inside the hypervisor E6501, which is called VCSA. It's virtual disk with the extension .vmdk. This virtual disk is on the LAN-based data stores, which is the professional way to do it. And this virtual machine we just access from inside here through the hypervisor to inside that virtual machine where the vCenter application is living right now. Right? So if this hypervisor goes down, obviously it will take down the virtual machine with it, which means that we will not be able to remotely connect to the vCenter, and in that case, we won't be able to handle the whole environment centrally. So obviously this hypervisor is a VIP hypervisor. It has to be up all the time. And we have discussed that already, that there's a native high availability that the hypervisor that is the protection for vCenter. You just depend on 3 different hypervisors, and then then the one virtual machine is on one hypervisor, active one, then the standby virtual machine is on the other hypervisor, and the witness virtual machine is the third hypervisor. So the thing is that it will be, oh, somebody's mic is open. Guys, mute, please mute. Your sounds coming. Okay, so here, this is what we did. Now what we need to do. So remember, first thing is that you have, or I have given at least 26 GB RAM, or you have given much more RAM than it was supposed to have. Why? Because obviously we needed to install it fast. Now we have installed it, so we do not need to keep this RAM. Obviously this is 2 GB here, 26 GB here, so I need to change that. These guys are 4 GB default ones, right? 4 GB, 4 GB, right? So, but these are shut down right now, and these two machines were on, these two machines, right? Now what we need to do is we need to shut down this the E6i1. Before shutting down this E6i1, we need to remotely connect to the hypervisor itself. We need to remotely connect the hypervisor itself, first thing, right? Second thing is we need to shut down this VCSA. Why? Because remember, we gave this one, if we gave the hypervisor a lot of RAM, so we gave this virtual machine that has the most important application, we also gave it a lot of RAM. So what our plan is, and those who have, now I'm going to go for that. Maybe I've told that before as well, that those having total 16 GB RAM in the laptop, give VCSA, well, that would be so brutal for the VCSA 8 GB and ESXi01 GB RAM. Now you have 4 GB left total to something, right? And in fact, even if you give that, so it's total 10 GB here, 4 GB here, so and 2 GB here, so 10. So 4 is also 10. So we are already overcommitting. If you are having total of 16 GB RAM, you're still overcommitting, but that will still work for you because although we give more RAM to the hypervisors than we have physically available, but it doesn't use up to that much RAM, right? So that's the thing with it. And now if then I go for uh, those who have those who have total 32 GB RAM in the laptop or desktop, whichever, give VCSA. Now, well, you should be taking benefit of the RAM. You can give if you give 10 GB RAM to VCSA and the ESXi01 can give obviously 2 GB more, so 12 GB RAM. This is also brutal. This is also going to still keep it slow. But actually, you know what? For now, let's increase it for 32 GB if you have 32 GB RAM, right? So we can make it 14, right? So total here would be 2 GB, 14 GB, this hypervisor, 4, right? So 14 plus 2, 16, plus 4, 20, 24. We're still we have still a lot of RAM available, those who have 32 GB RAM, right? So for now, yeah, we can give this much, but if that doesn't really make the VCSA go a bit, it's unacceptably slow. Suppose still you can increase more RAM, right? If it is unacceptably slow, still you can increase more RAM. But right now, this is the plan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep this Win01 obviously all the time powered on. This ESXi1, I'm going to shut down now. And well, if you have 16 GB RAM, then this much RAM you're going to give. In fact, before shutting down, sorry, as we planned here, see this, we're going to remotely connect. Let's connect to ESXi1 first. Let's shut down this VCSA machine. Let's decrease its RAM first. Right? And then we're going to shut down the whole hypervisor and decrease its RAM as well. That's the plan. And so what I'm going to do is let's remotely connect to the ESXi1 first, right? So about that, and I'm back in the environment, and it has kicked me out. Let me kick myself in. Somali ABC, ABC shift 123, dot shift 123. O and K. Now here, I'm inside the Windows machine. I need to remotely connect to ESXi1. Why? So I could go to the this virtual machine vCenter and shut it down and decrease its RAM according to the plan. So where is ESXi1? If I go to this tab first, the first one, right? And this tab is, and then I go to root because I'm connecting to a hypervisor. So I'm going to go to root and refresh your browser. Okay. When we are doing step by step, it's a pain. But that pain, when we go through, obviously, then you are eligible for a job interview.
Hello. Yeah, I was trying to that VCSA1 portal, but it is showing me this site can't be reached.
Site cannot be reached. So you have
Yes.
successfully installed the VCSA?
Yeah, I have installed.
Like successfully, right?
Yeah, successfully.
So are you able to share the screenshot?
Yeah,
Either screenshot or screen.
I'm just sharing my screenshot.
Okay, I'm shutting down this virtual machine now. I had given it 12 GB. Wow. Oh, since I had 2 GB, so according to the plan, I should keep the machine 12 GB. So those who have total 16 GB RAM can still shut down. So I'm gonna still shut down the machine, but I'll show you how to change the RAM of a virtual machine. I will not change it because I have 32 GB RAM, so I'll just change it. Yeah. Okay, so you shared this screen in the WhatsApp. I'll just put that so everyone can see that. Where is the URL? Oh, um, why is it yellow here? Still, you can put the correct URL first. vcsa.prognisham.local. That's it, actually. And hey, is the machine up? Are you able to remotely connect inside the machine, Pragnesh? So first check that. Is the 6i1, if you're able to remotely connect to the 6i1 with root and the password, it's like we have been connecting, and check inside if this VCSA virtual machine is powered on. If it's not
Okay.
powered on, then power on this machine and then try to reconnect again.
Okay.
Yeah, this is so try to remotely connect as I'm remotely connecting now and check if the VCSA is actually powered on or not. Hey, Pragnesh, did you shut down last time E6i1?
Yeah, I have shut down.
Now, why you do that when I say no, do that? Okay, what I'm saying is, guys, everyone, please. So please do not shut down this machine at the end of the class. Then what do? You do this. Right click, power, suspend guest. Right. Shut down guest is okay after 6 or 7 classes because sometimes when you don't shut down for a long time, weird things starts happening, weird errors start coming. Then you shut down, then start the services, all services got refreshed. But in order to save time, suspend the guest, do not shut down. Then you will find next class the machine exactly the same way in a working way. Now, so Pragnesh, your machine is already the vCenter is shut down. So you have to follow the plan as I was showing here. If you have total of 16 GB RAM, and since your machine is already shut down, so first of all, remotely connect E6i1 mesh, and then make sure if the machine is shut down, I think it is shut down, then change its RAM to 8 GB. I'm going to show you now how to change the RAM, and then shut down your E6i1 and change it to 10 GB. If you have 32 GB, then you do this 12 GB machine, which is this. So this is this guy, and this is this guy that provides you. So I'm just gonna do all step by step now, and those who have whichever RAM, you can follow that configuration. So, remotely connect. Okay? First of all, remotely go and connect. Then once you remotely connect, so I think I already did the shutdown, although my RAM was here okay for the virtual machine. I need to still show. Okay, it is. You can see that there is no green power button here, A button here, right? This means we're kind of. This means that is shut down. So I'm just gonna refresh this page, so it should tell me yes. Now power on button is there, so this means that is shut down. Once it is shut down, how do we change the RAM? So if you have selected this VCSA, you can see that there's no small play button. This means it is shut down. Also, if power off is grayed out and power on is clickable, this also means is shut down. and refresh that just to see the status of power on, power off. Select this and go to actions in order to change the RAM. Okay, I'm going to go to actions and I'm going to go to edit settings. So for any changes in the virtual machine, you have to go to the edit settings always in future for the virtual machine. Suppose I say, hey, add a second network card to this machine, virtual machine. So this is the way to go. Actions, edit settings. Then you can do whatever you want to do with the machine, right? Okay, so those who have total of 16 GB RAM, you can put 8 here and then press OK. Right? I have 32 GB RAM total in my laptop, so So I'm going to keep it as 12 as per our plan. Right? Here you can just change to 8 and save. So that's the way to change the RAM. I'm going to cancel out from here because I don't need to change the RAM. And second thing is, okay, I made sure that the virtual machine VCSA, always say it VCSA, vCenter Server appliance. It's an appliance. So in the interview, when they say, hey, what is that machine called? So it is an appliance. Appliance is a machine that has an application already installed inside. You just need to customize it for your company needs, right? According to your company compliance policies, you can customize it. Okay, so this is down and RAM changed. Now I just need to shut down whole hypervisor. So within the hypervisor should be, there's log out here, and that's the easiest thing. If I go to host, yeah, there's a shutdown. So if I click the host here, I want to shut down the whole hypervisor, this one, XI1 now. I need to change its RAM from 26 GB to 12 GB or 14 GB in my case. So host, there is a shutdown. So go ahead and shut down this hypervisor only. Shut down, right? Okay. So now, yeah, it is shut down. You can see it is shut down now. I need to change quickly. So what was the plan here? And was this? If you have 32 GB RAM, so 14 GB. I need to put the hypervisor as 14 GB. I'll just put a picture of this picture. And I need to have 14 GB. Okay. So I'm going to go back to the environment and edit virtual machine and 14. So 14 something 24 to 40 at 13.9 14,360 maybe. Right. Oh, 14.0. Cool. 14,360 is cool. 14.0. Anyway, so according to plan, this is done. I need to start. So what will happen now? Guys, we need to know one thing about once you shut down the hypervisor. So once, suppose there were 20 virtual machines inside. Suppose there's only one virtual machine, right? Suppose there were 10 virtual machines or 15 or 20 virtual machines, and you shut down or the hypervisor gets shut down for some reason. So what happens is that all the virtual machines inside also shut down unless you have a disaster recovery and high availability features enabled, which we will be enabling later. So in that case, the hypervisor shuts down. If you have fault tolerance enabled, so the virtual machine that went down, its partner virtual machine on the other hypervisor becomes active, or the virtual machines is restarted the other surviving hypervisors. So suppose the hypervisor goes down and all the virtual machines are shut down, and you don't have FT and you don't have HA, high availability or fault tolerance, if you don't have both of these. So the virtual machines, yes, they also shut down with the hypervisor. And when you power on the hypervisor, then virtual machines do not automatically start inside. You have to remotely connect, go one by one to each machine, power on, unless you change that feature. And you can change it for any virtual machine that, hey, this virtual machine, 4 virtual machines out of the 10, I want them start automatically, because they are either they are critical ones or either they are non-critical ones. But rest of the machines I'm gonna manually start myself. So you can put all kinds of settings here. Then once the hypervisor powers on, you want none of the machines to start automatically. This is the default right now. You have to manually go inside and manually start virtual machine, or you can also configure the other thing that start my machines automatically. The problem with that is, suppose you say that all 10 machines or 15 or 20 machines, please, when hypervisor powers on, please start all the virtual machines together. So the most critical virtual machine might not start in time for the users, or it might take very long time to start because all others are starting and they are also occupying the same RAM and CPU. Or they might not start at all because maybe the critical machines did not get enough CPU and RAM, so they don't start at all. Right? It could also happen. So that's why some administrators prefer, they would just manually log in and then simply power on the most critical machines first. When they are fully powered on, then they will go for non-critical machines afterwards. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and power on this because the RAM is settled. I'm going to power on this hypervisor. Okay, now the thing to remember here is, because we have been so brutal, I mean, for those who have 32 GB RAM, giving 12 GB RAM to this VCSA is not fair at all. I mean, this is a very big application, right? It's an enterprise grade application. Its licenses are very, very expensive. So it does need a lot more RAM, maybe 64 GB, maybe 128 GB, maybe 32 GB, just this one VCSA production environments. But it's definitely much more than 32 GB. Maybe 48 GB or, more than that. We have given 12 GB and 14 GB. So it's going to start very slow, right? So that's the one thing that we need to always remember. If you shut down the hypervisor that has the vCenter with it, then wait for that. So after logging in successfully, then we will do the following. Oh, okay. Where are we now? Yes, we did log in successfully. Now shut down the shut down the ESXi01 and remotely connect to ESXi01 and shut down the VCSA first and change its RAM. That's what we already did, right? Now shut down the ESXi01 hypervisor and change its RAM as well. We could start the other hypervisors later and then join them to this vCenter, right? Once RAM is changed according to plan, then power on ESXi01. Then remotely connect to ESXi01 and then remotely connect to ESXi1 and power on the VCSA as well. The only thing to remember now is this VCSA has not been given enough RAM, so we will have to wait for it to fully power on and wait for it to fully power on, and so the background services take time to start. There is no other option but to wait. Right? So I'm going to show you now how it looks like. And when it is powering on, so you powered on the machine. You know what? Let's just power on the machine quickly. So it will take its time to fully power on. So okay, this is my A6i hypervisor, the VIP hypervisor, 16 GB RAM. Yeah, we're good. So I'm going to go to Win01. I'm going to remotely connect to hypervisor. Why? Because I need to quickly power on the CSA because it's going to take time to fully start. And the sooner I power on, the better. But when it powers on, then I'm going to show you two errors that come. It seems like they are errors, but they just say that, hey, background services are starting, so keep waiting. Anyway, I'm going to remotely connect to this hypervisor just to start VCSA. Thanks. So, root. All right. Once I'm inside, I see the virtual machine. There's only one. And yep, it's powered off. It's supposed to be. And I'm gonna simply power down. That's it. And it's going to really, so that's the operating system, Photon. It's going to really describe, but that's something that we have to put up with. If you have more RAM, yeah, you can still give more RAM, but we need more RAM for the hypervisors, other hypervisors as well, because these guys are now going to join vCenter, or we need to introduce two hypervisors to the vCenter. Hey, vCenter, you're going to be centrally managing these two hypervisors, and whatever virtual machines are inside these hypervisors, and its storage, their networking, their security, their high availability, their disaster recovery, the vMotion going on them, fault tolerance on them. So obviously these two are for the whole experimentation, all the features. That's why we will start them once we are fully successfully we have started the VCSA itself and we are logged into the dashboard we saw before. So it's still starting now. Yes, there's a green play button here. Yep. So guys, if you see this, this is the Linux side of the vCenter clients. This is the Linux side. Like when you are advanced users, yes, you can come here, you can actually connect through secure shell, you can run some commands here. But right now, obviously we are waiting for the background service. It seems like it has started here. It started, but no, the background services are still starting. And where do we know that background services are starting? We have to go to that tab where we had put the URL of the vCenter. And I'm going to click that now because I know that on the other side, the vCenter has started and the background services are still starting now. So that's why it's going to keep on auto refreshing itself with that URL. And Monday or Sunday, we're going to see that dashboard here logging into. Obviously, it's going to be slow, but it's going to take like 2 to 8 minutes. Depends on how slow the whole environment is. There are many factors to that. So it's going to keep on crashing, but I wanted to show you a 501 error. A 501 error comes, which means basically keep waiting. I mean, you don't have to really troubleshoot that. You don't have to Google it. That error just means keep waiting. And then there is another error that has a wording initializing. If you see an error and it says initializing somewhere in the sentences, it's written big in big font, so you see that right away, initializing. So that also means background services are still starting, so please wait. O and K. So while this is starting, we need to understand a few very important things. Replication. Oh yeah, that was the native availability last class I was explaining. Class password, multitasking. No, oh, that's a class password anyway. Okay, so few things. I already explained that the background. If you shut down the hypervisor and then you start, okay, Moise says HTTP status 404 not found error. No, 404 is not that error. It means that keep waiting. It means that it cannot find the resource, but then it might also go away. I mean, like if it is auto refreshing still, like this, I did not click that, right? Oh, there's an icon coming up. So it's still just auto refreshing and not much happening. So what you can do is, is that refresh the browser. But yeah, it's not gonna show you the loading process. So you have to just make sure, did you power on the machine or did the machine actually powered on? Like mine, the virtual machine should show that it's stopped somewhere. It's not loading anything. There are no red lines or errors showing there. It's just like normally, uh, showing here. And we're kind of okay. Although 404 is not a very welcome sign. It should just show 54, I think, sorry, 541 or 543 error. It should come in and then I'll show you as well. Oh, it says loading here. Or you can close the browser, open it again if you see that the machine was fully loaded and it is actually resting on this page. I'm going to close that, and you know that blue page it was showing before, it is just stopped there, which is okay. Just refreshed. Okay. This is the chat. I just refreshed. So we keep. I'm just gonna go back to oh wow, we spent client it. Well, okay, it was showing the whole logo of the vSphere client. So it is saying loading, but is it auto refreshing? I guess not. So I'm just gonna refresh myself. This one.
Yeah, mine is working. I'm logged in.
Oh wow. Okay. So it says he's logged in. Very good. That's great. Any other good news? Because yeah, the whole software is pretty complicated, and now we realize how complicated it can be. The fun part is just starting now. Oh man, seriously, what is my machine? This machine I thought was much faster. Oh, thank God, finally. Okay, so at least I'm able to show now something. So we know that what credentials we need to put there. Administrator at. It normally shows here what I put there because it cached or saved the configuration. but it's not showing here, so it's acting weird. So this means that once I need to shut down, well, actually I did shut down just now. Okay, so I'm just gonna go for administrator at vsphere.local and the password, class password. Okay, there are pictures in the background. Okay. Appling is has shown this. Those is not in maintenance mode. Oh, not. We're not gonna put them in. Oh, when you're shutting down. Okay, it's okay.
Yeah, I am ready.
Yeah, it's okay to shut down still. Right?
I want to know because I am writing down VCSA one dot my name dot local. There's no working.
Slash small UI you can put. I'll check as well. Slash small UI. I think I put that URL. Oh, let me just put that URL in the.
Yeah, I just send you screenshot.
Okay. Okay, let me just put the URL and https vcsa1 slash dot domain name. So in my case, hump dot local slash small UI. If that's the URL, then it should work.
Okay, I'm gonna try. Thank you.
Okay, and I'll just put that in WhatsApp. So it's in WhatsApp as well. Okay, now let's see what else. Message, yes, okay. And yes, I did the same thing. Pragnesh says, then Evelyn says, okay, thanks. And then Pragnesh says, Moise says connected back. Okay, good. And Pragnesh says, there's a phishing going on. It's quite fishy.
Pragnesh, I'm wondering, did you type it as a new URL or is research on Google? Should type
Like
it?
in here, in the URL area, you need to put type here, not here. We're not searching it, we're actually putting the link. So once we put here, it should just simply try to connect in the local environment. Okay. So Pragnesh, you were able to open it, or I think you were. So I put that URL.
I can
Okay.
open now.
Okay, that's very good. And if I copy this, oh, it's not copying. Oh, it's not copying. Then what is app? Yeah, I'll put it in WebEx, and somebody can put it there in the WhatsApp because somehow WhatsApp is not accepting that. East. Okay, Evelyn says working. Okay, great. Okay, now that's good news coming. And okay, now we can go ahead. First of all, yes, we're logged in again, and there you go. It looks like that. There will be some errors showing CPU exhaustion on VCSA1. So two vCPUs there, and then vCenter server health alarm. So these kind of alarms will go up because we do not have the ideal hardware to give to the vCenter. The type of application it is, it requires much more than what we're giving, so we can ignore these health alarms and performance errors, right? Okay, so we need to create our environment, and now we can start doing that. And you can understand, and you can actually understand from here, and then reproduce it in the interview as well. So it's all about your observations and how good you understood, and then those who were not able to do that, try to get the hardware to do that. I had to do a lot when I was learning VMware. I had to go and search for hardware during those times when actually the hardware was not available at all, or it was very difficult to get hands on those. But yes, the sacrifices do pay off later. So guys, here, I'm just going to right click on this. Why? Because now you can see, first of all, this is the vCenter name. And then if I right click, then it says, hey, what do you want to build on it? So obviously we are going to build the whole environment now. So there's a new data center, it shows, there's a new folder, it shows export system logs. If you have log files there, that saves the events with the timestamp. Assign license if you brought the license or purchase the license, tags and custom attributes. Just to put assign tag, suppose this is sales department related resource or marketing department related resource, or permission. Suppose you have a junior administrator that you want to not give all out permissions and alarms, whatever alarms you want to put there. So suppose the center is not available, so it should send you an email. Okay, so Moise says that I only got CPU alarm. Okay, that's so the other one is get there, so that's good. Good. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna right click and create actually we can create data center. Data center is the main working area. All the features of the vCenter are inside the data center. So when you create a data center, then you see a long list of features there that we can implement with all the disaster recovery and high availability features, right? So, but before that, I just want to create a folder. The folders are kind of, you can say, for organizational purpose. So we're going to actually pretend that we have one branch in Toronto and one branch in New York. So I'm just going to go and click new folder here, and it says, hey, what do you want to name the new folder? This is just for organizing your resources across different countries or branches or continents, up to you, or whatever the circumstances are. So we can go for here Canada. Just going to type here Canada and press OK. It's a folder, not the data center. I'm just going for the next new folder. We don't have to create that. I'm just showing you how it looks like and what would be the use of it. And the second is US, and press O and K. So this is just for kind of organization. Suppose you have branches across different countries or continents, you can just divide them according to that. Now I'm going to right click on Canada, and it still says, hey, you want to create a data center, you want to create subfolder inside the folder. So I actually want to create a data center because inside the data center you can add or introduce to vCenter your hypervisors. So I'm just going to click new data center here after right clicking Canada, and then I can go for Tor DC or Toronto Data Center. I'm going to press O and A. And when I expand, so it is already created, I'm going to go for US and right click on the US folder. I'm going to go to new data center, and then I'm going to put here NY DC, New York Data Center. And then I'll press O and K here as well. Ready? So here, once we have created folders just for organization, even if you don't create folder, we can still create data centers. So now we're going to pretend that ESXi2 belongs to Toronto Data Center and ESXi3 belongs to New York Data Center. So our environment is so small, we don't need separate data centers. We're just pretending, suppose it's a big environment and there are two branches and you've created one data center there and one data center here. So on data center level, you handle hypervisors, and we're going to see that how to handle that. And then some of the features require that all the hypervisors that you want to implement that feature on should be under one data center. So then at that time, we're going to move the other hypervisor to the same data center. Right now, we're just pretending that we have two branches and then we've created two data centers. We don't need two data centers. Okay, so now I need to add ESXi2 to ODC and add ESXi3 to NYDC. So by adding, I mean that remember that in a Windows environment, we used to join Windows 10 or Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows XP to the domain. So here we're joining the hypervisors to the vCenter. So the vCenter could centrally manage them, manage resources. Okay, so obviously for that I need to power on ESXi2 and ESXi3. First I'm going to check the RAM, ESXi2, 4 GB, ESXi3, 4 GB, yeah, we're good. ESXi2, we're on, ESXi3, we're on. All right, and then, well, because it was suspended, so when I resumed it, just came back fast. But I think that it's still like it's even if you shut down just the hypervisors, they start fast. Chrome 6.7 version and 7.0. Okay, so now what we need to do is once these two guys are up, so it's time to introduce the two hypervisors to the central application called vCenter living inside the hypervisor 1. I'm going to go to the Win01 from where we are remotely connected, the vCenter, and then what we need to do is that I'm going to go to Tor DC now. Okay. On Tor DC, this is the data center, right? So on the data center level, there is summary, there is monitor, configure, permissions, hosts and clusters, VMs, data stores, networks, updates. So it handles all these areas of a hypervisor. So it says that how many hosts this data center has, none, right? How many virtual machines it has, how many clusters it has. Cluster is just a group of hypervisors. How many networks it has and how many data stores it has. So that's all the major areas of VMware that environment that are handled by the data center. So I'm going to right click on the data center, and then you're going to see that you can add a host, and we're about to add ESXi2 here. New cluster. So once you create a cluster is just grouping of hypervisors, and the cluster offers you all the high availability and disaster recovery features. So it's going to get very interesting once we create cluster. Right now, let's create the whole environment.
We didn't get to the benefit of cluster, two benefits.
Two benefits. Well, the cluster's benefit is that all the disaster recovery and high availability features are inside the cluster. And for example, HA, high availability, which is high availability, and then FT, fault tolerance, and then vSAN, and then EVC, and then there are long list of other features that are part of the cluster, and we're going to be exploring all the features one by one once we create a cluster. But right now we're not creating the cluster. There's a error that Meher has shared. CPU has been disabled by the guest operating system. Power off or reset the virtual machine. CPU has been disabled.
Actually, I have 16 GB machine.
Oops. Which is like you have given it according to the plan, the RAM?
Yes.
has been disabled by the gas turbine system power over. So did you start the both or all three hypervisors?
Yes, I now started second and third both.
Then this error came.
Yes.
So you were able to log in from the vCenter?
Yes. I mean,
Okay, so what is the RAM? Okay, yeah, you have put the RAM. So what is the RAM of VCSA virtual machine? Like what
DCS.
did you give? Gave some RAM,
Uh,
right? Mhm.
yes, it's 8 GB.
Is 8 GB? Okay,
Yes, and
yeah,
hypervisor 10 GB.
8 GB. Okay, so 10 GB plus 4 plus 2. So already it is
I changed just now hypervisor 2 as a 1 GB. But it's coming same error.
hypervisor 2. No, hypervisor 2 cannot be less than 4 GB. Hypervisor 2 and 3.
Okay.
If they're less, they will not start, or they will start giving errors. So E6i2 has to be 4 GB in order to start work.
Can you do it like step by step? On ESSi2 first, add it to the cluster, then shut down.
Yeah, that is also a good idea. So here you can shut down E6i3.
Okay.
First of all, the rule of thumb is not RAM cannot be less than 4 GB, right? So you have to give 4 GB no matter what. And don't worry about the overcommitment. It's still gonna work, and you will still be able to do a lot of labs. So the second thing is then first you change the RAM of E6i2 and E6i3 to 4 GB. Second thing is shut down the E6i3, keep it shut down. Only start E6i2 and join it to domain, join it to the vCenter, which I'm about to do now. Then once it is fully joined successfully, then shut down E6i2, start E6i3 and join it to the vCenter as well. Okay? You can do step by steps in order to save some RAM.
Fine. Okay, understood.
Cool. Okay, that's very good. Great. And thank you, Moise, for that. Okay, let's go ahead. Oops. All right. So what I was doing was here, what do you see? Right click here, add host, right? This is the one. I'm gonna add 6i2 pretending that it is in the Toronto branch. So I'm going to click add host here for ToDC, and then it says it's gonna ask all this. Also, it's gonna ask host name or IP address. Here we can add the host by IP as well, which is not recommended as a best practice. Although technically, if you want to just put the 192.168.2.1 and try to add, yes, it's gonna add. It's gonna, suppose you have 200 hosts here and they're all IP address based. So then you would not know which host is which, right? So when you put name there, then you would know their location as well. Suppose there's a host for, maybe in Toronto there are 20 hosts. So Tor 1, suppose you named it like that, Tor 1, Tor 2, Tor 3, Tor 4, and then there are 30 hosts in New York branch. So you would go for NY1, NY2, NY3. So by looking at the name, you would know their location. Right? Or looking at their name, suppose you put their Tor 1 SL. Suppose SL is sales department. So you would know by name that, oh, they are in Toronto branch and they are for sales department. Their sales department's virtual machines are there. So by name adding is obviously the best practice, and it's going to really benefit us. So yeah, that's what we're exactly going to do. Where do I get the name? Well, I remember it, of course, but I can go here to the server manager and then open DNS by going to tools and DNS. Although I can just type it directly, just showing you. You don't really have to follow all this because we all know the names already. But I'm adding this one, E6i2, right? If I double click that A record in the DNS, so this is the full name. Your first name E6I2 6I02 dot your first name humb dot local. I'm gonna copy this. You want to do that? Yeah, it's okay. But I'm just showing you that the name has to be correct for it to be added. So if I come back here, right click and paste it. So that will be this is your first name is that's how it's gonna look like. If you are sure about the spellings, yeah, go ahead and just type it and click next. Obviously, it has to be powered on for it to be reached via DNS by name. Next. Yeah, now it's asking for username password. We all know how to enter the hypervisor. It's root and the password.
Can you show one more time? Where did you go in DNS?
And DNS server manager, this one. And here. And here. And then double click here. And then double click here. So then you see this. So double click this and copy this.
Okay,
right?
got it. Thank you.
Oh, all right. So, well, yeah. I clicked already see add host, then host name. Yeah. So Control V, it just comes up. Hit next. Yeah. Then we know the credentials, root, and the password. Oh, okay. Next. Now it says security alert. I'm just gonna press yes. Well, that's it. I mean, if you see this screen host summary, this means that they are pretty much connected. Normally, if there is some connection issue, so you won't be able to come to this screen and there will be an error coming before this screen. If you're on this screen, this means that the connection between the vCenter and the host hypervisor E6I2 is okay. Okay, so host summary, yeah, there's just information. I'm going to click. If there were virtual machines here, it would have shown there. I didn't create anything on E6I2, so it's not showing here. If suppose you do see some virtual machine you might have created, it's okay. I'm going to click next. Then it's asking for license. So it's evaluation license for 60 days, which is okay. Production environment, you would see the actual licenses there. So I'm just going to click next. And yeah, so this is lockdown mode. The lockdown mode I may have talked about before as well. And for now, we're going to click normal, but what is the lockdown mode? So lockdown mode is that, I'll just quickly annotate it. So lockdown mode is that, okay, there's that Win01 machine we have, then there is that hypervisor. Inside the hypervisor, we have the VCSA machine here. VCSA machine here. This is ESXi01. Seriously. And this is Win01. Okay. So lockdown mode. Now, how are we connecting to the hypervisor? We are connecting through browser, right? Chrome. Okay. Right. CHR. We're connecting through Chrome to the hypervisor and then to the vCenter. This could be a security risk as well, because suppose there are 10,000 VMs. Suppose there are 10,000 actually laptops and employees are there, and laptops, desktops, and employees connect to that. Now the hackers who would want to actually remotely enter a hypervisor, they could just use any browser in any of the 10,000 laptops or desktops and simply remotely connect. If obviously they have the root and the actual password, suppose they do have that, but they can connect from any browser within the network to the hypervisor, and they can actually, all the virtual machines are sitting there or loaded there, so they can do a lot of things to which will affect the company. Now, normal mode, what it does is that hey, you want to log into the hypervisor. So first you connect to the vCenter, and through vCenter connect to all the hypervisors, right? So these are all. If you should be knowing all the terminologies as well. So hypervisors are also called hosts. In production environments, normally we say host. Hey, did you connect to the E651 host? Did you connect to that host or this host? Because they're hosting virtual machines, so they're called hosts. Now, so through Chrome you connect to vCenter, and through vCenter you can connect to host. That's one way to connect to the hypervisors. Second way to connect is by directly connecting to this, right? That console is called DCUI. DCUI. What is that DCUI? Direct Console Interface. So when you go to the E6i2 and it shows you that black area or screen where when you press F2 you can log in and change the IP address, right? So that area is called DCUI. So either you can directly connect the host with the DCUI and pressing F2 and then put the root and the password, or you can connect through the vCenter to all the hypervisors. But you cannot, if you put the normal lockdown mode, then you cannot connect from the browser. So no browser connection, right? No browser connectivity. So that's a very good security measure, that then you disable that access from thousands of whichever device has a browser. It could be a tablet, even it could be a cell phone, even everything has a browser. Right? So from there, if you know the right URL and the hacker has stolen the passwords, then obviously you can connect from any browser. So browser-based access is gone when you enable this. So that's a very good security mechanism to enable. Strict one is that you can connect only from with the vCenter, but you cannot connect. So no browser, as well as no DCUI. Even somebody, suppose some hacker actually steals the fob card access to the data center, and he or she goes inside the long line of racks and then tracks down your hypervisor, because there are some critical virtual machines running out of that. So the hackers want to have physical access because they have the password as well. But then when you put the strict lockdown mode, so they cannot directly connect to this, and they cannot connect from the browsers anyway. So the only way to connect is if you have access to the vCenter, and through the vCenter you're centrally managing the whole environment, so it is already secure, and you would really make sure that the passwords are secure this way. So this is the difference between normal lockdown mode and strict lockdown mode. Normal, no browser connectivity, but yes, you can connect through vCenter. Yes, you can connect through DCUI or directly, but strict is no browser, no DCUI as well, only through vCenter, right? So that's it. So obviously we're going to go for normal lockdown mode. Because we have other security mechanisms, we're supposed to have other security mechanisms in our environment as well. Like antivirus and anti-malware, and then firewalls, and remote detection mechanisms. So I'll just put that diagram in.
Professor, I have a question.
Yeah.
So for the I mean, if we are configuring a firewall, for example, we just let's say we am I echoing?
It's okay.
Okay, so we can configure the IP and then we can configure a port number so that we can access it successfully. Is there
Yes.
anything we can do for the vCenter as well?
Oh yeah, there are port listings for the vCenter, and in fact, there's a long list of ports that need to be um, added to the firewall for the communication of the vCenter to be enabled, and but only those ports and not others. So vCenter 7 port. I'm just gonna give that list, and yeah, there's that required ports for configuring an external firewall to allow. So I was just looking at the other page documentation. I'll just drag it quickly here, and some common ports: SSH port 22, DNS 53, AT HTTP. 902 is the vCenter server, VMware infrastructure client, UDP for ESXi, Heartbeat, UDP, and TCP. So 902 vCenter 902 port has to be enabled if there's a client on the other side of the firewall and vCenter is on the other side. 903 for remote access to VM console. So these are all typical ports that need to be open. I'm just gonna click that. So it's a very good question. And in production environment, yes, we have to make sure these are. So what ports? I'm just gonna put that in vCenter in that, and then yeah. What ports need to be open inside the firewall for vSphere? vSphere vCenter. Oh, yeah. All right. Let's go ahead. So we're gonna put it on normal mode. Gonna click. Yeah, you were saying?
Yeah, I have a question, please. Putting it in normal mode will not have an issue for us. I mean, will, as you said, it will block the browser connection.
Then we cannot
Something
connect like
not
this.
only to VCS.
Yeah, but there's one lab that depends on. So we're also doing a lab where we're gonna patch the hypervisors. For that, we need to remotely connect, and updates will only work if the lockdown mode is disabled. So what we're gonna do is that we're going to go directly to DCUI here, and then we're going to disable the lockdown mode from here. And then we will be able to remotely connect and then do update or patching lab.
Okay.
So yeah, if you want to disable, you can go through DCUI and then actually disable that, because we're not gonna strict mode, otherwise we're gonna be stuck as well. Like there are, then you have to suppose you strict mode, then you have to enable. You have to have a backdoor username created there that is other than the root username, and that is only allowed to log in through DCUI when it is on strict mode. It's a bit longer way to do it. My suggestion would be to just Google or YouTube it, that how to implement a strict mode, then what is the procedure to create a backdoor secret username that has access only during the strict mode. So I'm going to go back here, and this normal mode we're going to click, and this is always a best practice, and we're going to implement best practice in our training environment as well. we could get used to it for production as well. And for the interview, we should be stressing on security, obviously. And they really like when you talk about security. No matter you're a desktop support guy or you're going to be junior administrator, talk about security, learn more terminologies about security. They really get impressed with that nowadays, obviously. Okay, anyway, normal, next. But obviously, you need to know the inside out of a full cloud and inside out of a VMware environment or inside out of SQL Server, whichever interview you're giving. First, you know that, then you go for security of that. Okay, so lockdown mode we've put normal, and then it's just VM location is store DC. Yes, that's the data center, so nothing here. I'm gonna click next and ready to complete. So this is our screenshot number 1. That we're about to successfully add E6i1. So adding E6i2 to vCenter. That's the label of the screenshot. You can take a screenshot of my screen. Those who are not following in lab, and others who are following the lab, take screenshots of your own lab. I'm going to take a screenshot now of this, and the label is adding E6i2 to vCenter. So that would be screenshot 1. Screenshot 1. So adding ESXi02 to vCenter. And then obviously another screenshot for E6i3 when we reach this stage 4, this page for E6i3 as well. I'm gonna add that as well. Okay. Right, so let's go ahead and add the second one. Oh, I'll just put the screenshot of the screenshot here. Okay. So here, click finish. And our best friend is recent tasks. You have to keep an eye on that. Sometimes we think the task is done and it's actually stuck somewhere here. It's on 90%. But sometimes there's an error here and we're like waiting, or we're doing some other task, assuming that this is done. But you have to keep an eye on the recent task. This is your best friend here in this environment, and you have to make sure that the status is complete and green. Right? So I'm going to go for NYDC and do the same thing. I'm going to select that, pretty much the same drill. Right click here. I'm making sure that E6i3 is stored on. I'm going to add host, and maybe I copied the name. Oh, it's not in the board. So I'm just going to go to the DNS. It's already open, and there's E6i3 here. Double click that and copy this with correct spelling. Otherwise, if you know that, that's good. That's the best practice. Add hypervisors by name. Next, root, the password. Enter. Oh, next. So it does say that, hey, this is a security alert for that, and it does show this. How do I remember that I showed you this before as well? We're adding this client for the first time, right? Okay, if it says SHA-1 thumbprint, so where to find it? Remember that this is 85BFC, ends with 85BFC. So suppose I want to actually check on the hypervisor exactly. Suppose you have 200 hypervisors and you want to actually check that. Where is this self-signed certificate thumbprint here? What ID of a certificate? Which hypervisor has this? So 85BFC. I'm just going to go quickly to E6i3. You don't really have to go there, but you can see what I'm doing. F2, small abc, 1, 2, 3, enter. if I go down to this, so then you can see here AD, FB, FC. So this is that. This means that this is the hypervisor we are adding to the vCenter, AD5BFC. So that's how you can know from any hypervisor by going there, oh yeah, this is a certificate, so this means this is a hypervisor. Suppose correct naming was not given, or IP was from DHCP, you still need to track out exactly which hypervisor is this that I'm adding, so then this is another way to confirm. Just gonna press yes here. And yes, if the connectivity is okay, it's gonna come to this screen. After that, we know what to do. We click next. Okay, Evelyn says, question teacher, we have to add the 3 or only 2 and 3. Yeah, so we added E6i2 to the TOR-DC and E6i3 to the NYDC. Yeah, both need to be added to the 2 data centers separately. That answered the question. So I'm okay. So I right clicked on NYDC, right? So you will be right clicking on NYDC and just click add host and then follow the prompts. So T gets added to NYDC, 2 gets added to TOR-DC. And next, normal mode. And next, and oh well, that's the second screenshot here. E6i3 added to vCenter. E6i3, second screenshot. E6i3 added to vCenter. I was taking interview questions for the junior admin at our organization. So I was asking step by step as well for some of the processes in Azure, as well as for junior admin plus desktop support. So desktop support questions, okay, how the Windows is reimaged or how this is done. So if you have gone through all these steps 2 or 3 times, obviously in an interview of VMware, they might ask you certain amount of step by step as well. Okay, what after this? Not exactly you need to know every page, but overall you need to know that what are the major things that come. Anyway, so I'm just gonna take a screenshot of this. So here, yeah, the label is that adding SXI3 to vCenter. Adding ESXi03 center. Seriously. Okay. Why did I not mute? Oh, thank you. Oh man. Okay, sorry about that. So let us go ahead and the second screenshot here, and let's keep going ahead and add the second hypervisor. Then show just got started. Like there's so much to do. I'm gonna put that also screenshot in WhatsApp. If we go back now to the environment, I'm just gonna click finish here, and then I'm gonna go to my best friend recent tasks, and it's gonna show me 80%. Yeah, it's going on, it's okay, it's stops a little for on 90%, but yeah, there you go, completed, green. That's what I would need to make sure. Now if I expand this TOR-DC here, so I can see that, yeah, I can see the hypervisor here under the Toronto data center. And when I click the ESXi2, then about this hypervisor, vCenter offers a summary, which offers how many logical processors that hypervisor hardware has, how many network cards. Remember, we added 9 more. So 10 network cards here, uptime is 42. It's connected, no virtual machine yet. And then the CPU memory of this storage, obviously the whole thing, all the reports in summary, monitor, configure, permissions, VMs, resource pools, data centers, networks, updates. So we're going to be going through all that for a typical hypervisor, but that's a lot of features here that it shows. And if I expand the NYDC here, so yes, it's pretty much same thing, ESXi3 here. Now, in ESXi3, I am seeing, suppose I wanted to see about updates. Oh, is it updated or not? But then I want to compare this with the other hypervisors. So the good thing about VMware is that whichever window you're on in one hypervisor, when you click the next hypervisor, it opens exactly that window or that page, the other hypervisor as well. If I go to ESXi2, it also shows just updates. So if I go to networks here in ESXi2 and want to compare the network settings of 2 with 3, so if I go to ESXi3 now, it opens the same page for ESXi3 as well. So that's very good for navigation and quickly comparing big environment, a lot of hypervisors there. Okay, so if we go ahead and now on ESXi2, what we're going to do is we're going to right click and we're going to create a new virtual machine. So we did know how to create a virtual machine just in the hypervisor. Now we're going to create a virtual machine in the vCenter. We're still creating on the hypervisor, but now in the vCenter. So there's not a lot of differences, but yes, there are differences, and there are more features available by the vCenter. So I'm just going to click that new virtual machine on right-clicking ESXi2, but now we're doing that from within the vCenter. So I'm just going to click new virtual machine here, the new virtual machine. Now there were 3 lines there in when you were creating the virtual machine, the hypervisor. There are 6 of them. So we're going to be talking about all these one by one. But right now, I'm just going to go ahead and create a new virtual machine. I'm going to click next. And then it says that what is the virtual machine name here? So remember that first virtual machine was your first name VM01. So I'm just going to go for my first name VM02. As onwards from here, we're going to be creating empty virtual machines. We don't need to install operating system on all new virtual machines. We're going to be creating a lot of virtual machines here, right? Just to explore all the features. Because suppose I go for, hey, how HA or FT works, fault tolerance work. So the fault tolerance works with the empty machines the same way as with the machine with an operating system. So the whole environment, I'm going to be now creating empty virtual machines. And whenever you're creating virtual machines, make sure about 2 things. The storage should be thin provisioned. I'm going to do now. And the RAM should be 1 GB. Because we are so scarce on hardware resources. We have very less hardware resources, right? So virtual machines should be given as least amount as possible, which would still make it work as well. Okay. Next. Yes, that's select a compute resource. So which hypervisor it is running on? Yep, is this hypervisor, which is okay. You know, there's this compatibility box. This needs to be green, right? So it is green. So far, so good. And normally, if there is something wrong here, so obviously the errors or warnings will come here. Next, and then you see those LAN-based data stores, which is very, very important. And I would create a virtual machine on any one of those. So randomly, I'll just, for no particular reason, I'm going to go for 1-2 base data source, and it has a lot of space, 499 GB. And yes, the good news is priority check succeeded. Next. Now now it says that, oh, you're creating a virtual machine for 7.0 update 1 or older versions of that. That's the full history of the vSphere, vCenter. We already know that. Suppose I select this 6.0. Ours is 7.0. Why would I even select 6.0? Because suppose we have a other hypervisor which is older and we haven't updated that or migrated from it. So you might want to vMotion or migrate the virtual machine from 7 hypervisor 7.0 hypervisor to 6.0 hypervisor and then back and forth. You want to migrate. So your virtual machine should be compatible 6.0 as well, because it was created here in 7.0, so it will still be created and it would still work here as well on 7.0. Now I'm just going to go back to the latest one, 7.0, update 1, next. I'm not going to install any operating system, but still I'm going to select here. Usually you will have servers here. Servers, not client operating systems, but it's always going to be servers. So I'm just going to go for 2019. It's going to load the universal drivers of Windows Server 2019, but that's all it's going to have. It doesn't take any size as well. We're not going to be installing operating system inside. Otherwise, all environment will get terribly slow. Okay. So we're not enabling any Windows virtualization based security. And you can see also VM version 18. So version 18 virtual machine. Now, if you go for this 6.0, next, you can see now version 11 virtual machine. So if your memory is very good, or before you go to interview, maybe you can just remember 6.7 virtual machines, or what version? 14. 6. And then we went for 6.5. Okay, that's 13 version. So what are these different versions? Different versions mean that suppose you have a 4 processor support of a virtual machine, or it can go maximum to 32 processors in version 13. So in version 16 or version, suppose I go for the latest one, and go next. This is version 18. vCenter 7 virtual machines are normally considered as version 18. So version 18 would be supporting maybe 64 processors instead of 32 processors. I'm just giving an example of versions. Just mean that more capacity, more features are available, right? So older versions would have lesser capacity, lesser features available. It can support lesser number of processors, number of network cards, number of RAM, amount of storage. And the next version would support bigger capacity, more processors, more RAM. You don't really have to memorize that which version supports what kind of virtual hardware. In the interview, you just need to go through it at least once. But difference of version means difference of features and capacity. That's what we need to know, basically. I will just put it 2019, though it doesn't really matter. Not installing an operating system. Production environment, obviously, each virtual machine will have a operating system there. Next. And then what I want to make sure in our environment that it is just 1 GB, because we're going to be powering on virtual machines, we're going to be powering off, then powering on, powering off for different types of labs. We need to make sure that when we power on, suppose 4 virtual machines. So if it takes 4 GB, that's all we have here in our hypervisor. If each machine is 4 GB each, then it's not going to be okay for our. Okay, second thing, for any virtual machine that you create in future from now, so memory is 1 GB and hard disk is in provision. Make sure in training environment is in provision. So 1 GB memory and 10 provision. These two things, if you remember, you're good with your environment. Your environment will last longer till the end, I guess. Next. In last batch and the previous batch, I had to recreate the whole environment from scratch because of a certain error that came. And so I had, so this happens. I mean, we have to work harder and harder. But now, but new error came. This is like, I'm, so Humber is a VMware Academy, officially a VMware Academy, right? So they need to contact VMware directly about certain hardware, and you have to. So, guys, one thing I can do is, if you those who are getting the Intel VTX error, can you just give me your model name, vendor name of the laptop, and the model name, and email me that. 3 or 4 guys, if you could send those who were getting the error. If you could email me on the college email, sayed.shahzad@humber.ca, right? Then I will send that information to, well, the course coordinator is not a VMware expert, right? So the course coordinator will actually send that to the Humber's contact to VMware. And then they will ask that, hey, these machines, processors, why are they not installing this lab? Second thing is, do you have a fix for that? Some exe file that we install, click, 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 and that's it. So yeah, if some of you can give me the vendor and laptop hardware configuration. Okay, Farhan says Alienware Aurora R13. Okay, I hope there's no other information I need. Well, obviously I need CPU and RAM information, but that should tell. That model on the website should tell. Anyone else who can give me his or her laptop configuration who are getting Intel VTX errors? Because this is very important that which laptops are having that, and we can get it fixed directly from VMware. Well, hope they are fast enough to reply. Okay, so at least one is there. But you may volunteer to just gather information from others as well, because you guys meet every day. Yes. Okay, thank you. Here, yeah, pretty much we create a virtual machine, and I'm gonna click finish. So yes, my best friend recent task says yes, it is completed, and it shows here under hypervisor. So pretty much virtual machine creation is no big deal here. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the virtual machine management related topics, and then there's that other 2 topics which are smaller topics like resource pools and VApp. So I'm gonna go for, so there's resource pool and VApp. So first of all, in fact, I'm going to go for resource pools, and you can see that there are resource pools here. So what are resource pools, and what's the benefit of those, right? So I'm just going to quickly go for this small topic, then we're going to go for bigger topics in next class, obviously. But here, if we go for resource pools, so that's where if we need to reserve a CPU and or RAM for any critical virtual machines, then we use resource pool for that, right? So that's very, very important. But resource pools, grandpa, or the bigger feature of representing resource pool is DRS, Distributed Resource Scheduler, and that is an amazing feature. Okay, so we got another. Chris says Dell Inspiron 7620. Thank you. So 2 hardware models are there, and if anyone else who got the error can tell the hardware, so we have a better case to fight VMware. Okay, so here resource pool. Now, what are resource pools? It's pretty straightforward as it seems with the definition. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a resource pool. So how does it look like? I'm just going to go to right click on the hypervisor, right? Go to the hypervisor, you see the resource pool here. But if I go to the data center level, does it show there? If I click here, resource pool. Nope, I don't see that. So a resource pool can be created on hypervisor level. First thing. Firstly, you're reserving CPU and memory for the virtual machine. So virtual machine live on hypervisors. Right? So I'm going to right click here and go to new resource pool here. Once we go to the new resource pool, it's pretty straightforward feature here. So first of all, you see CPU. Second thing, you see memory. So these are the most sought after resources or commodities, we can say. Virtual machines fight for CPU, virtual machines fight for memory. So how about suppose what happens is that you have some critical virtual machines here, and then you have some non-critical virtual machines here. But non-critical virtual machines start first. Non-critical virtual machines start first, and they take up all the CPU and RAM. And when the critical machines suppose started later, could not find enough CPU and RAM to start, or they could not find enough CPU and RAM to really run, and the users would say that it's unacceptably slow. Right? So you would use resource pool to reserve the CPU and RAM for certain critical virtual machines. Whenever these machines start, they should get this much CPU and this much RAM from the hypervisor, and then whatever is left can be distributed among the other non-critical virtual machines. That's how it really works. So if I go here to resource pool, so first we have to go for a resource pool name. So you just name anything. Suppose these machines are belonging to a sales department. So maybe I could say sales VMs, suppose. And then there are shares, reservation type, limit for CPU, and then shares, reservation type, limit for memory. So what are these? Shares means priority. So suppose I go for high. And you can see that there's a number that changes here as well. Suppose I go for custom. So then I can just put 40,000, 80,000 here or 100,000 here. Obviously, you would just put those numbers of priority there if you have multiple resource pools there. So suppose there's one for sales department, but then you create another resource pool for marketing department, then another resource pool for IT department virtual machines. Then you give priorities. So suppose I go for high here. Now the second resource pool may have normal, third resource pool may have low, so it could be like that. So if shares are high for resource pool, then we're telling hypervisor, hey hypervisor, my priority is high, attend to my needs first. Whatever is written here in this area, first implement that, then go for that resource pool that has the shares normal, and go for that resource pool that has the shares low, right? Or suppose you go custom, so whichever has the highest number, hypervisor is supposed to listen to that resource pool and implement those reservations first. Right? So that's first of all, shares is priority. Second thing is reservation, which is minimum CPU or reservation minimum memory, then limit maximum CPU, limit maximum memory. So reservation, when you say it's just minimum, hey, this much CPU, whichever machines are attached to this resource pool, this much CPU must be given to the machines that are attached to this resource pool. So suppose we go for maybe so it's megahertz, right? If I go to gigahertz and there are two, I go for maybe 0.5 if it lets me do that. 0.5 gigahertz. So this much gigahertz must be given to the virtual machines attached to this resource pool. That's what we're saying. Obviously, they would have in the production environment a lot of maybe 8 core processor or 16 core processor. So and with the 3.5 gigahertz, 4 processors, 8 processors, 16 processors, then you can give enough minimum, or reserve that much CPU and that much memory. Virtual machine. Then there is limit. Limit is maximum. Okay, this much we must have, but you can maximum you can give this much, or unlimited. So whatever, these machines are critical, so go for unlimited, whatever more they want. So suppose resource pool is unlimited, then hypervisor has to keep on attending to, if the virtual machines need more CPU, the hypervisor has to attend to it and try to give more and more CPU as needed. Or you can say that, okay, if it is maximum is this, whatever actually is available, just pretty much taking out all, or you can just put a little lesser amount here, that don't let them get or request more, or even if they request, don't let them have more CPU than whatever amount you put here. Limit is maximum, reservation is minimum. Then what is reservation type? It's expandable. So if I uncheck that, this means, hey, whatever is your maximum, if you reached it, now you cannot ask for more. Or you select that, hey, whatever is your maximum, if you reached it, you can still ask for more. Expandable just means ask for more is allowed if it is checked. Ask for more is not allowed now if it is unchecked. So this means that you just so you have to put a limit, then you can just check it or uncheck it, that you can't ask for more, or you can ask for more. And the hypervisor will try to check that, they have used up even that maximum one, and they're still entitled to ask for more, so I have to arrange it and see, that hypervisor, there's some more megahertz available there, gigabyte RAM available. Let me just arrange or assign that RAM automatically to the virtual machines connected to this resource pool. That's shares, reservation type, limit, and that's the same here for RAM. What we discussed in CPU, shares, give me the priority, right? Reservation, minimum, give me this much RAM when I'm starting. This is for the virtual machines assigned to the resource pool. And then reservation type, yes, you can ask for more. Check, you cannot ask for more, right? Then maximum, limit, whatever. Don't let the virtual machines attached to this resource pool ask for more than whatever you put there in terms of RAM. So this is a whole resource pool related stuff. I'm just going to press OK now to create one, because I need to show you how to assign a virtual machine for a resource pool. Once you create a resource pool, it looks like this. The virtual machine is outside. So all we need to do to assign it, and the virtual machine to the resource pool, we just simply drag and drop on top of it. So once we drop it, now it's inside the resource pool, under the resource pool. Once it is under the resource pool, whatever we implemented, whatever we configured there will be implemented on one machine or 10 machines or 50 machines, whatever you put there, and how much physical underlying hardware resources you have. So, yeah.
Please, in the resource pool, for example, the reservation of CPU, you selected the gigahertz, but the limit, if I can remember, was still with megahertz. Does that make sense? Or...
So we can only put whatever within the limit that is placed here. I was just giving an example. But definitely you're right. Whatever is available here. Actually, you know what? I went for gigahertz here. So it was 2 gigahertz. So I went for 0.5.
0.5. But the limit in megahertz, is it okay?
Limit in megahertz, you can just type it like that, or you can type in gigahertz. It's just easier to put it this way.
The field of limit down.
Oh,
You
limit
have
this
the
one.
limit, yes, you have it
Yes.
in megahertz. Is it okay? Or it
Oh, yeah.
should also be aligned with
Yeah.
the
No,
reservation?
it doesn't have to be aligned with this. Here, suppose I go for gigahertz. Here, I can still go for megahertz. It understands that it's pretty much the same thing. It's the different way to write it. Yes, it doesn't have to be gigahertz as well. No, it doesn't have to be.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So, how to assign what is resource pool? We talked about that. But if we right click here, so directly here we can create a new virtual machine, and within the resource pool, you can actually create a child resource pool as well. So obviously you should have enough hardware available there. Suppose you have 128 GB RAM to just to assign here. Maybe you have total of 1 terabyte RAM. Whoa, alone that would be maybe $20,000, maybe 10,000. I don't know. So no, it's not be that expensive. Okay. So here you've assigned a lot of CPU and RAM here for just this resource pool. So you can create child resource pools here as well and assign the virtual machines to those child resource pools. And when then you can just put here expandable or not expandable. That child resource pool virtual machines used up their reservation and limit. And then can they ask for more from the parent resource pool or not? Suppose you put that they can ask from a parent resource pool. So they will ask. Suppose on the parent resource pool, you actually uncheck these. That parent resource pool cannot ask from the hypervisor more RAM. So manage what you have here, and when you reach the limit, then you cannot ask for more. Your child resource pool can ask the parent resource pool. The parent resource pool cannot ask the hypervisor. Right? So you can set it up that way as well. That was about resource pool. And I'm just going to right click here. Let's right click here and go for the third screenshot, which is edit resource settings here. And this is just the label of the screenshot will be resource pools. And you can just take a screenshot now here. Those who are not following, you can take a screenshot of my page. And those who are following, take a screenshot of your page. And the label is resource pools. It's pretty straightforward, easy, but very, very important and critical feature. So I'll just go for. Then there's VApp. Then there is virtual machine management related features. Then we're gonna go for the standard switch. Then we're gonna go for migration, vMotion. Then we're gonna go for distributed switch, and then cluster. So it just gets trusting every next class and more complicated. The more complicated, the better, right? We can put it on resume and then we can sell our services. This is what I know. That is what I know. Resource pools. Okay, so resource pools. This is the third screenshot here, and we're pretty much down to the last 10 minutes. So let's just upload that and meet in next class. And guys, yeah, two students have given me the hardware version. If more can give me, that would be better. Then it would be a bit more stronger case. If Farhan and Chris, if you could ask other students just to put their hardware model to me here in WhatsApp, because as soon as I close this WebEx, this chat will be gone. So on WhatsApp, I can collect those 4 or 5 models, and then we can have a good fighting chance. VMware to what's the solution for that? Okay, so you just I need to still create that. I'm gonna quickly 3 and 8. That what the about page. Okay, I'll go there and I'll How's the video now?